the issue is at the moment is all about levelling up, isn't it? And what that means and how that translates into behaviour between government and local authorities, particularly the London context. So, you know, we're looking at the next round of the Levelling Up Fund. We look at the levels of need in the borough, particularly around Ilford. We look at what we want to achieve to bring up the local population in terms of dealing with poverty, addressing inequality. We think we've got a really strong case for the government providing us with additional finance, but Redbridge Council, you know, doesn't have a lot of core grant funding from government. It's a council that you know, is probably underfunded compared with its peers. We'd certainly argue that. And so having that dialogue, winning that argument, if you want to put it that way, is another key challenge. And you know, and putting Redbridge on the map. I mean, I'll be honest. Years ago, when I heard the name Redbridge, I didn't have a clue where it was. I knew where Ilford was, and over the years, I've discovered things about Redbridge. But it's, you know, it's not one of the most well-known boroughs. We want to change that. Part of my role is as an ambassador to bring Redbridge into those conversations, whether it's pan-London conversations or national conversations with government. So yeah, I think it's a time for London boroughs to work together really closely, and so I want to make sure that Redbridge is firmly part of that, to work with the GLA as well, and to make sure that London is really keeping those issues on the agenda with government and not allowing this levelling up agenda to somehow divert attention away.
So that response sort of focuses on the public sector as partners. So I'd like to kind of split a question into two in a way. Given your track record in direct delivery, how much of your ambition, how much of the borough's ambition can be met through your own teams and your own companies? And what sort of role do you see the private sector playing?
So, I mean, I immediately went to think about the RP sector as well when you said that, and obviously that they're not really private sector, they're somewhere in between. I mean, for me, the issue in a place like Redbridge are the private developers and the housing association, RP developers, really paying attention to the opportunities in this area, and that again is part of my job, is to promote those opportunities, to promote awareness. You know, I've talked about us doing a 1,200 home development program over the next 4 years. That's probably bigger than a number of other boroughs. It's certainly bigger than a number of RPs. It's certainly bigger than any of the RPs are doing individually in the borough of Redbridge. So there's a really important role for us to promote what is possible locally to those partners. On the private sector specifically, so there's obviously the role of the council in attracting partners to come and develop in the borough. So it's about making sure those opportunities are promoted. But there's a specific role in terms of joint venture partnership. And so, as I mentioned earlier, the Ilford Western Gateway is all about us selecting a partner to work with on a joint venture basis. And I mean, that, again, that process has been underway for the last year or so before I arrived. And we're getting close to the point where we want to announce a partner and then get into a joint venture agreement with them. So that's coming soon. And there may well be other opportunities like that. The council actually has a fair few land holdings, which probably on its own, it wouldn't have the capacity to develop out. It would want to work with a partner. So, you know, again, some of those twinkle in the eye moments are things that we're looking at now and saying, well, how might we deliver that upcoming site? Is it simply a site we would dispose of, or would we rather work with a partner to develop it together? And certainly my personal objective would be to always look at retaining the council's involvement where it makes sense to do so, rather than simply selling a site and then, you know, it's a one-way street. There's no turning back at that point. Whereas if you work with a partner, who knows what you can get to together in order to deliver what the partner wants and what the council wants.
We should take the chance to do our own plug that you'll be at Site Match on the 8th of September, and some of those kind of really early art of the possible conversations will be taking place there. So developers, if you're watching, do come along on the 8th of September. Get into the, if you use the chat to let us know who you are, we'll send you all the information you need. I guess there's a question in there that sprang into my mind in all of that, Mark, which was around the sort of change to planning regulation and sort of government approach to development and to local authorities developing as well. What are your views on how that's shaping up?
I mean, the proposals are still really, I think, opaque and unclear. So, for example, all of the questions around Section 106 being ended, and the new levy that comes in, or whatever it's going to be called. Yeah, I mean, I think the detail of that we still need to see. Anything that speeds up and simplifies the process could be good if that supports good development. If it dumbs down, if it avoids issues around things like social value and negotiating the benefits for the community, if those things become just clumsy and hard to work with, then I wouldn't be in favour. So it really depends how the process works and what it delivers. That's fundamentally what it comes down to, I think. And it's too soon to say how that is going to work.